Hi, welcome back to Oversharing with Laura. So today we're going to talk about meltdown and shutdown. Now, a lot of people will associate the terms meltdown and shutdown more with autistic people. And while it's true that they have it, many other neurodivergent people can have meltdowns and shutdowns too. So, we're going to talk about what that looks like in the life of a person, me, while still keeping in mind that everybody is different and everybody reacts differently. So, today we're going to be focusing on fight or flight. So, when you are entering a meltdown, it is often due to sensory sensitivities and occasionally emotional dysregulation. However, those same things can also cause a shutdown. So, we're going to talk about what the differences between those two things are. And for me, at least, I feel like the difference really is my brain giving me the fight danger warning or the flight danger warning? And it's really important that you understand that a neurodiverse person in a meltdown or in a shutdown cannot stop it. They cannot stop that action once it has begun. They are not in the pilot seat anymore. Things are happening and their body is reacting in survival mode. They can eventually stop and be calmed down, and then afterwards you're feeling really bad about what happened, and maybe a little embarrassed or a little ashamed, or kind of guilty if you know that your actions were not very positive. So a lot of people will see people in these situations, I mean, a lot of neurotypical people, and will think that it is because this person is being manipulative, wanting attention, having a tantrum. And that's not what these are about. It's literally about survival. So I plan to have like a whole video about sensory sensitivities and sensory overwhelm. That was actually kind of what I wanted this video to be about, but I thought I really needed to address what meltdowns and shutdowns were before I get into that. And I'm also going to talk about emotional dysregulation. But for now, we're just going to understand that emotional dysregulation means that emotions are really difficult to deal with, both our emotions and the emotions of others coming like at us. If they were in a situation where there's a lot of emotional activity coming on, like for instance, I had a recent death in the family and there was a funeral event that kind of went on, all day long. And I knew that the next day I could not participate in life outside of my safe place, which would be my home. Because if I did, a meltdown or a shutdown would ensue. I could not handle anything else. And I've learned to avoid situations that are going to then cause a meltdown or a shutdown. It can also be due to sensory sensitivities. And so when you're in your home and you know what's going on and the situation seems safe, you can filter out sensory input that is painful to you or irritating, and you're able to prevent that overwhelm that you get out in the world where you have no control anymore. So What a meltdown is for me is when I'm in a situation that my brain interprets as dangerous. And most of the time, it is because of sensory overstimulation. There's a lot of sound, there's a lot of, like lights, like really bright lights. There's a lot of movement, there's a lot of things going on. And there's a lot of people. A lot of people usually is part of it. And the thing is that it's not just like one situation that will set it off. Usually a meltdown ensues for me when I have pushed myself to be in these situations again and again and again and again without letting myself have that recovery time. And I get to the point where I literally can't go on, and I'm a breaking point. And the meltdown is the breaking point. A meltdown can look like a lot of different things for different people. Sometimes it's like uncontrollable crying and sobbing. I don't cry much myself, to be honest. I am on medications that dull my emotions for reasons. Because when I'm not on that, the emotional dysregulation becomes really, really powerful. So I don't cry a lot. In the past, yes, I have. I have had meltdowns where I have spent, a good day, like whole day, just bawling and not physically able to stop myself at all. They can be situations, and this is really honestly kind of what I move more towards, and that is rage. Yelling, screaming, cursing, saying really, really mean, rude things to people. They can be violence. I don't often do that, but let me tell you, the specter of violence hangs over me like this dark shadow that I'm always afraid. I'm always afraid that I could do that. You can be violent towards others, but also towards yourself. So often self-harm ensues. And in the past, that has been more the avenue that I have taken, self-harm. Or even like injuring something that is, not human. So like I'm gonna stab this pillow, or I'm gonna bite this pillow. And I don't mean stab like with a knife, but it was just like with your hand, or punch it, or bite it or something. And like that's a way to get that aggression out. But some people can't help it if they're in a meltdown and a person approaches them. And remember, your brain is screaming fight, 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 fight for your life, for your life. They might injure someone. So a meltdown is a scary place to be. And you basically do whatever you can to avoid that. And so if you have somebody withdrawing, a neurodiverse person withdrawing, or saying, look, I can't handle anymore right now, I just can't. Please take that seriously, because they are really, really trying to avoid meltdown. Another thing is that I, in my past, with all of the masking, have been really careful to kind of hold at bay as long as I can that meltdown. If I'm going to have a crying jag, or if I'm going to, scream and scream and scream, or, hurt a pillow or myself, I try to hold that at bay as long as I can until I'm in a private place, and then I can just essentially explode. Still not healthy. And often if you are in a meltdown, it's because you have been in situations that you shouldn't have been in to start with. You've been pushing yourself too far. You have been masking. Masking itself can lead you to meltdown, because you're suppressing stimming. You are suppressing this is not good for me. I need to not be in this situation. You're not letting people know that sort of thing. And that's dangerous. You just need to be honest. Shutdown is often for me because of emotional dysregulation, or because of a lot of emotional input. So if I am in a situation that is especially stressful and there's a lot of like emotional expectation, like somebody is telling me all about their problems, or they're expecting me to find answers that I don't know what the answers are, I can shut down. Usually it's like, I'm leaving. I'm leaving the room. I'm walking away. I'm not saying anything. I'm just walking away. I'm leaving the situation. I'm leaving without telling anyone I'm leaving. I'm going to another room. I'm curling up into a ball and I'm closing my eyes and maybe covering my ears. I'm trying to block out the sensory, stimulation that I'm getting and all of the people talking, trying to talk to me or whatever. My cats are being especially annoying while I'm trying to do this. I'm sorry. Also, it can be from sensory overwhelm too. Especially for me, this is a lot when there's a lot of talking, or I'm in a social situation and that stressor is that there are social expectations on my part. I have been known to hide, to hide away in like some little dark room, or not too little, because I'm claustrophobic, but in like a place where people aren't. I retreat and I try to avoid people. I won't talk. I'll just stop talking. I will stare off into space. My responses will become minimal to nothing. I'll look spaced out, and that's because I've spaced out. I've tried to get away internally from this very stressful situation. It's a flight response. My brain is telling me we're in danger. We've got to get away. We've got to get away, or we're gonna freeze. Sometimes that's the shutdown response too. We're gonna freeze. We're gonna not move, and maybe they won't notice we're here. If we just like go catatonic or something. Shutdown can be like insulting. People will be insulted. They'll think you're being like really rude. They will think that you're unfriendly, or you don't like them. Whereas with Meltdown, they'll think you're a horrible, mean person, at least for me, because there's been times where I've been in Meltdown and I've said really awful things to people. There's been in times where I've been in shutdown and I have ignored people that were really important to me. I've rejected contact with them, or I have to withdraw from social activities, and that separates me from groups that I might like to be a part of, but I'm falling out of this group dynamic because I can't participate. I have to separate, either because I'm in shutdown or because I'm trying to avoid Meltdown. This makes life, especially social life, really, really difficult. And so the goal of this video is just to help people understand that sometimes what comes off as rude or bad behavior or neglectful behavior, it's not that. It's survival. And it is a neurodiverse person trying not to lose control, because that is super scary. And I think everyone can understand that. Anytime where you feel like your actions are not under your control is not a place that you want to be. I think that my next video is probably going to be about sensory overwhelm, and we're going to start talking about situations where a person can find themselves in danger of a meltdown or a shutdown. And I think I'm probably also going to share what a lot of my triggers are, and then some ways that I have found to work around those triggers, or kind of within the limitations that they bring to my life. So, thank you for joining me today, and I hope that you will join me for my next video. Bye.